Hey, I'm Robert. Welcome to the latest edition of Dirt from the Dungeon. This is episode number 6. This is a video series where I talk about the current goings-ons in the guitar and music industry and offer up my thoughts on them. This is also the video series where I remind my audience that you can pay me to say all kinds of stupid shit that you can think of. The proceeds of all the money earned from people paying me to say said stupid shit all goes to charity. So, there we have it. Let's get to some dirt. PRS Guitars have announced a new private stock version of the Orianthi signature model, a guitar that they have dubbed the Blooming Lotus Glow. This is kind of an interesting trans purple kind of color that I don't know that I've ever seen in a PRS guitar before. Regardless, this is a beautiful guitar, guys. Check this thing out if you haven't already. This thing is amazing. And it too can be yours for the very cool price of $11,700. Let's face it, blues lawyers buy PRSs and Fenders. The really rich dudes buy PRS private stock. That's just fact. Speaking of Orianthi, who I happen to be a very big fan of, by the way, along with other iconic female guitar players, Nancy Wilson of Heart, and the very, very accomplished Jennifer Batten, are all getting together to host a women's-only rock and roll fantasy camp out in L.A. I've talked about this on my channel before. I am all for more and more females getting interested and involved in music and playing guitar. This is a great way to attract more females into the fold. And who better to learn from than those three ladies? Wow, that's a pile of talent with those three names right there. Legendary amp builder Howard Alexander Dumble has unfortunately passed away at the age of 77. He, of course, was famous for building the famous Dumble Overdrive Special amplifiers for artists such as Carlos Santana, John Mayer, and a long list of other artists along the way. All of those amps are insanely valuable on the vintage market. If the 59 Les Paul is considered the holy grail of electric guitars on the vintage market, Dumble amps are definitely their amplifier equivalent. When I first got into the EMI business, those amps were selling on the used market for about $50,000 a piece, which at that time was insane. Now they're all going for well over $100,000. And unfortunately, with his death, I've already heard about some of those prices. Some of those prices of the people that have them for sale, unfortunately, are already starting to skyrocket, trying to capitalize on the dude's death, which I don't think is very cool. Regardless, he's responsible for some of the most famous guitar tones that we know in our world today. Thank you, Mr. Dumble. You will be missed. Steve Vai has unfortunately been forced to postpone his American tour that was supposed to take place earlier this year, forced to do so due to injury. You may or may not be aware that Steve Vai suffered a shoulder injury here about a year or so ago that required surgery. He was fortunately able to recover from that. However, this is a new injury that has occurred that is forcing him to postpone this tour. Doesn't seem to be any detail out there as far as what the injury entails. But hey, that's what HIPAA laws are for, right? Regardless, it looks like they had to move some venues. I think only two shows out of 54 shows on that tour were canceled, and the rest of them were all postponed to later this year. So most likely, you will still get an opportunity to see him. Steve Vai is my all-time favorite guitar player, by the way. I've only gotten to see him live one time. He never comes to my area. So regardless, if I ever get to see him again or not, Steve, from me to you, I hope that you get better very, very soon. Jethro Tull guitarist Ian Anderson has been recently quoted as saying he is against guitar players who have their techs tune their instruments for them. Yeah, you tell them, Ian. You tell them. God forbid any of those guitar players that they pay thousands of dollars of salaries for, to take out on tour with them, specifically to maintain their instruments. God forbid that they tune their guitars while they're at it. Heavy metal band Every Time I Die have announced they are breaking up. Well, 4 out of the 5 members have announced that they're breaking up. The lead singer is the one member that was not part of the joint statement issued by the rest of the entire rest of the band. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of detail out there yet as far as why the band has decided to disband, so to speak, though it appears that there has definitely been a serious rift in creative differences between the lead singer and the other 4 members of the band. Now, those guys are as talented as anybody else out there on the market today. I'm sure they'll all be able to go on and do whatever it is that fulfill other ventures and dreams that they may have in the music industry. And in the case of guitar player Andy Williams, he is also signed to All Elite Wrestling, where he wrestles under the ring name The Butcher. Half of a pretty good tag team, by the way. It's always heartbreaking to hear a band that's been together as long as they have. They've been around since 1999, I believe. So 23-year roughly history together. They decided to call it quits because it's always been those 5 guys, and they were not looking to replace anybody. If it wasn't going to be the 5 of them, it was going to be none of them, and that's the route that they opted to go. And I got to respect that. So good luck to all of the members of Every Time I Die in their future endeavors. And Andy Williams, I'm looking forward to seeing you here on Wednesday and Friday nights. So that is it for this episode of Dirt from the Dungeon. Please subscribe down below if you have not already. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.